The PepTalk Podcast.
Well, Ben, we've been talking about doing a podcast for a while. Happy to have you. Ben Dols, Snap Fitness, entrepreneur.
Happy to be here, man. First, I just want to say congratulations on this space, this podcast space. A lot of people probably can't see just the full all around here, but it's absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. The team and I put a lot of work into it. We're excited.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like you see some of these celebrities, people, that do a lot of podcasts, and they're just doing it out of their basement, right?
Yeah.
And what I like is you took the time to. You obviously know that this is gonna go somewhere. You're gonna be doing this a long time, right?
Yeah, I think we could touch a lot of lives.
Yeah, but you took the time to make it right, make it great, because the atmosphere is nice.
I think you and I share in that mindset of trying to inspire people and show people that, what we can have, we put our mind to it. Stuff that you and I have done over the last couple of years, that building that winning mindset, that's something that we want to talk about today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we're going to start it off with how my morning started, because I feel like letting the audience know that we're not perfect, right? You and I aren't perfect. Every day isn't the day where you get up and like, yeah, we're going to kick ass today. Like, things are going to be perfect today. That actually, it's total opposite. It's probably like 50-50. Some days we get those thoughts right away, like, oh man, wake up 4 a.m. Here we go. Well, I did that this morning for the first time in weeks, where I instantly had a negative thought, and I built on it. I feel like this. I feel like shit. I got this stressor. I got to hurry up. I got this podcast today. I got all these things. You start burying yourself with not.
Can I ask? And
yeah.
You don't want to share. What's that? What was that negative thought? That pin that kind of can easily start.
The negative thought was
a little bit of poison, right?
How I was feeling.
Yeah.
My feeling, like my body, how my body was feeling.
Right.
Because we get up, we work out. We've been going hard for changing the mindset for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
It wasn't like yesterday where I've changed, and we're going to talk on this. Like, you've seen some of the things that I had to implement in my life in order to better myself, to even have a chance at having a good day. Because I think that's what the problem is people wake up, they got the negative things going through their mind, like I did. For the first half hour, it was negative. It was 20 minutes, and I'm only sharing this because I want our supporters and people that are trying to change lives to know that we're human.
Right.
Just because we're successful at something doesn't mean. And I think we look at like movie stars and stuff like that, like they're subhuman or something. And they have bad days too, but they get up and they fight off them demons. You understand what I mean?
100%. I knew coming into this podcast that we were going to be talking about mindset, and I think the timing is good on it, because I think most people talk about subjects when they're flying high on it, right? When they're if I'm doing throwing out a video on Facebook about mindsets, because I'm in a really good mindset right now,
right.
Ironically, I just came off like 2-3 weeks of just really, really tough. I don't know. I've been, just kind of a slip back in a more negative. But what's different is that I'm aware of that, right? I'm aware that, all right, this is a valley, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, right? Because we all go through it. We're never going to be on riding high the rest of our life, right? You never just hear a YouTube video mindset and be like, I get it. I'm going to be great now.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't work like that.
No,
That's
you got
not real
it.
life.
What do you have to do? You have to install habits.
Exactly.
I think the only way that you can ever make it happen is install habits. And the only reason why I know is because I had to do it.
Right.
I went years, Ben, thinking, when is it ever going to get better? When am I going to be happy?
Right.
Why do I wake up every day and feel this? I'm depressed. Not that I don't think that there's clinical stuff there, but I think you can battle depression. I think you can absolutely destroy it if you can get the right mindset, if you can flip them negative thoughts into something positive. And what I do is it's a hard battle, but what I try to think about is, what am I grateful for? All of a sudden, Quentin pops up out of the bed and he's coming down with his blanket.
Yeah.
He's already thinking some negative thoughts like, man, I got to go to school in an hour. I wish I just want to play video games, whatever he's thinking. But you know what I'm thinking? I love that kid, man.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, boom, just a little bit of an endorphin in my mind goes from depressed to, I got a lot to be grateful for. All of a sudden, I look around my house, I look around my life, and it spirals into a positive, and then I think, oh man, I got to go to the gym in 15 minutes, and then I'm not happy again, right?
Well, and you realize that your attitude, whatever you're going to bring into that day with your family, is going to dictate
how
their days go.
Yes.
Right. And you have a lot of control in that. You have sovereignty in that, right? And
that's a really good point. I remember, I would say 9 months ago, I had a moment where it dawned on me that everything I do in my day and how I go about my day, especially around my family, dictates all their feelings.
Right.
That's a powerful thing, but you better pay attention to it, otherwise they're having bad days too. And that was one of my motivations to get into mindset and habit change. And how do I do it? How do I do it? Whether I'm praying on it, listening to YouTube channels, listening to other people's podcasts, how can I get happy every day? The truth of this matter is you're not going to be happy every day, but you can battle it with positivity. Because tomorrow I might wake up and feel the same way.
Right.
Oh, life sucks, man. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not feeling it today. I just want to do nothing today.
Yep.
And fall into the trap for 3-4 days in a row, because by day 2 you're thinking, man, you're a bum. You ain't done nothing in 24 hours. There was nothing wrong with you. And it stews out of control to people's entire lives. 7 years.
I think one thing that just watching you that you've been doing really good, and you can just see how wildly impactful it is, and it works for everybody that does it, is a morning routine.
Yes.
Right. If you're starting your day based on the circumstances of what first happens to you, right? You know, I have a 9-month-old at home right now, right? And every night can be a battle, right? With just crying, and she's teething right now, right? So if the first thing that my day starts is waking up to the sound of crying, and I get up, and it's Liesel's turn. No, it's fine, right? It's not the best way to start your day, right? You're not in control of that, right? And now that's going to spiral into, if I start that up feeling negative, now I let that spiral into my attitude's negative, that's going to make my wife's attitude negative. That's going to spread that way, right? So what you do very well, crazy well, that I am working to improve on, is get up before everything else.
The whole world.
Get up before the whole world, right? And check in with yourself before you check on the world.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And man, it is absolutely game changing, right? Choose how your day is going to be every day, right? And for me, a big thing that I've found is really impactful for me every morning with my journaling is affirmations, right? And for those of you that don't know what affirmations essentially are, is you're repeating, you're going to write down, whether it's bullet points or a paragraph, doesn't really matter. You're writing down who you are, or at least who you want to be.
Yep.
And reminding yourself of that every single day, right? Saying that out loud, because it's easy to say, you know, on January 1st, like, I'm gonna be a healthier person this year, right? If you don't tell yourself that every day, you just tell yourself once a year, you're not going to be. If you look back last year, you probably weren't, right?
There's something super significant about writing it down. It's almost your subconscious is telling you that now you really approve of whatever you're writing down, whether it's wanting to work out or if it's I love yourself, or whatever positivity affirmation you're trying to tell yourself. When I write it down, and you bring up a really good point. You know what I didn't do today? As I made the adjustment to the gym's reopening, I've been to Attila Monday, Tuesday, and now Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm up at 4:20. I'm out the door by 5. I'm not journaling.
Right.
I ain't journaled all week.
Yep.
Because, and I know one of the biggest factors of my happiness in the day is writing down my goals, dreams, who I am, who I want to be, who I'm not. That's a big one. Who I'm not, and then all of a sudden you close. I mean, as you can see here, every day except the last 3 days. So that probably triggered the bad day for me this morning because I didn't get to the book.
Right, and that really goes back to that routine. We, as humans, I mean, we just thrive under routine, right? I mean, especially having a 9-month-old, right? We realize, like, if we don't have her, she doesn't eat at this time, or go to sleep at this time, take a nap at this time, she is going to be unhappy, right? That doesn't change as we get older. When we fall out of routine, I mean, it so often happens when we're on that like 2 weeks off with Christmas break, those in-between times. They can oddly get, when we expect this relaxation, they can oddly get more stressful because we're out of routine.
Right.
Right. And that's why I really like the morning routine, because regardless of what day of the week it is, where I am, right, I can do that morning routine with myself. Right?
And that routine actually can turn into a habit.
Yeah.
Which is beautiful. And I want to talk about habits, Ben, because people, it's the game changer. You got bad habits, you got good habits. You got to get rid of bad habits. Oh, it's so hard to stop smoking. It's so hard to stop drinking. It's so hard to do this. It's so hard to do that. Yeah, if you keep telling yourself, that's exactly how hard it's going to be. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So why not write in the book, I'm going to quit today, or I'm going to do better today, one day. Mm-hmm. People are so stuck on long term, oh, I don't know how I'm going to do this for a year, that they don't make it past a day.
Right. And
then the day turns into, you start to change a habit. Like mine is the 4 a.m. thing. Mm-hmm. I want to be up at 4:20. That didn't start right away. I mean, I even caught myself lying to myself that I was doing it when I really wasn't. Like, oh yeah, I get up at 4:20, Ben. And it was really, my habits was maybe twice that week I did. Right. But you got to be honest with yourself. But if you keep on hammering what you really want, it'll turn into a habit. Now I woke up this morning before the alarm because my mind just knows it's time to go. And you know what you need to do before you walk out that door at 8 o'clock in order to be able to take on your day at all.
What's your mindset the night before? Right? Because
before I'm going to bed, it's changed.
Yeah, like thinking about the idea of, I think that's probably what intimidates most people, is thinking about the idea when you're going to bed at 10, 11 o'clock at night, like, I
know
gotta
exactly.
Get up at 4:30. Right?
No, what's changed with me is I used to be the person that lay down in bed and think, what am I doing in bed? I got so much to do. Mm-hmm. And then you start having them images, boom, boom, boom. And actually all the positive things that you want to do with your life is turning into a negative, because if you don't get rest, you can't do it. So one thing I told Pat last night, as I walked out of here, I said, I'm going to go take a nap. It was like 8 o'clock, whatever. And I knew that I wanted to do more yesterday. We had a really good day, right? And I knew I had to tell myself that the mindset now is, go take a nap, man. Go take a break. It's okay. So now when I lay in bed, you know what I do? Lights off, TV's off, bam, bam, eyes are closed. I'm not thinking about anything to do with business. Mm-hmm. It's like a subconscious meditative mindset of nothing. What I'm going to start doing that I've been doing some research on is falling asleep listening to stuff that you like, stuff that is meaningful to you, whether it's affirmations, somebody's podcast, something where you can filter your subconscious. So I've been researching that. I don't know a lot about it yet, but anything that we can do to get an edge, Ben, we want. For
me, what I do is, I don't know where I heard this, but I used to just have terrible time sleeping. I would do exactly that. I'd be thinking about what needs to get done, thinking about all the worst things that could happen and my fears and what happens if this happens and just all those negative things. And I don't know where I heard it, but it was essentially wake up thinking about what you got to get, what you got to get done, right? Go to sleep almost dreaming about the possibilities, right? Mm-hmm. So when I lay in bed at night, I look forward to that time because I don't allow my mind to attack I gotta call this person back, whatever, right? And if that does happen, I'll add it to my notes quick and get it done, get it out of there. I don't want those sort of things in my mind. I feel like going to bed at night is the time when I can essentially dream while awake, right? Dream of what could be the limitless possibility. It sounds corny, right? But
no, I get it.
But it's such a positive way to I don't know.
It's similar to what I was talking about listening to a podcast about, and you said about the possibilities. Well, there's some podcasts or even some things you can download that are for the subconscious, are for when you're going to sleep at night. I don't want it to ruin my routine that I already am on, which is go to bed, knock out. You just can't do none of that, but it'd be nice to get it a little bit more of an edge. But before any of that can happen, let's back up a little bit. When we weren't doing that, what a miserable way to live. Because you can't sleep. And if you don't have the rest, you're not waking up sharp to do this podcast. And I remember going through, I even told you about it, Ben. It was at least a 90-day insomniatic, up 3 days, no BS, like could not fall asleep. And it's because the plate was so loaded with so many dreams and so many possibilities and so many things I wanted to do that I didn't know how to shut it off at night. I panicked and worried. I'm like, I don't want to fail. I don't want this to go wrong. I got to make sure. I can't let Ben down. I can't let this guy down. I can't let anybody down. And you can get into this. And the only way that I got out of that was to change my entire habits of telling myself all that stuff, change my mindset, and get into, you've done enough today. Be proud of yourself. Respect yourself enough to love yourself that you need to take a break. And if we guys like us don't do that, we'll be right back in that.
My wife was literally, we were laying in bed last night, and she was giving me that advice of be content with what you've done. You've done enough each day, right? And yeah, you're right. That's a very hard, it's easy from the outside looking in when you might look at how somebody else, what they've achieved in the last year, whatever it is, right? You just want to be like, man, you killed it. Enjoy that, right? But when you're inside of it, it's not that easy. It's not that simple.
No, and we love this entrepreneurial game so much, though, too, Ben, that it's different. It's a different mindset for us. Well, Liesl understands it, though. She owns a business, too. Yep. Like, she gets it. And Megan told me that stuff for years, too. Like, be happy with what you've done. You've done great. And I'm like... There's
a balance there, and I don't know the answer to this
But
yet.
I think there's times where it's like, you ain't seen none yet. We got a lot to do still.
I love chasing after goals.
The grind.
Bigger goals.
The grind is the fun.
Bigger
the grind is the fun.
Achieving, right?
Yeah.
I love that. I'm not doing that just because I have to.
Yeah.
I'm doing that because I want to, right? But yeah, there is everything in life is moderation, but there's a balance of that,
I hate that
being
word.
content.
I hate that word.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is in that, but being content, yet still working towards achieving more at the same time, right? And I think really where that is, where does your happiness come from, right? If your happiness comes from achieving the things you're trying to achieve, then that is going to be it's going to be a hollow victory
in the long haul.
Yeah. You're never going to be happy, right? You're going to achieve it.
I did it.
And,
I know exactly what you're talking about. I thought I needed it. I knew back in 16. I got a business open. It wasn't even off the ground yet, and I'm opening up another one. Right. I'm going to open every opportunity that comes my way. I'm going to pull it off, and I'm going to show everybody.
Yeah.
And I thought that would bring me happiness, each one that I opened, and all it did was I got to go on to the next one. But that's a whole other podcast on that mentality. But that mindset had to change too. Yeah. And going into the mindset I have now, opportunities come at us all the time. People present houses to you or this to me, and you got to know when to say, no, it's just not the right time right now. I think it's a great opportunity, but it's not the right time.
Right. Yeah, and I think, okay, so coming to that, because that is, as you grow in as an entrepreneur, the more successful you get, the more opportunities come at your way naturally, right?
Right.
And, you have more influence, more money, whatever it might be, there's just more coming your way. And I think it's so easy to get derailed that way. Yeah, obviously you've been down that road, and I had the opportunity to be alongside of you that whole road to learn, yet still fell into the same thing myself, right? Sure. So some things you just got to learn by making your own mistakes. But for myself, what really makes me feel content is trying to get a clear picture, a really, really clear picture of what exactly my goals are. Where do I want to be 5 years from now?
Would you say like the end game on everything you have going on? Would that be
right. Yeah. What is your end game? Yeah, we don't spend enough time sometimes thinking about that because if you have a specific end game, then other things aren't going to work towards that, and those things might change over time.
I'm going to tell you why we would do that. For like subconsciously we do that because it's almost like the fun will be over. The grind's over. If you think of like when I think of end game, what's my end game? I don't have one, but if you don't have one, it's kind of hard to finish off a goal, whether that's on a small scale of putting siding on your house or on a large scale of owning a business.
Right.
And a mentor of mine, Jeff. Yep. He tried to hammer that into me. Like, what's your end game? And as a young entrepreneur, I was like, there ain't no end game.
Right.
Well,
and it can change over time, right? I bet Jeff hit his end game.
Yeah,
right?
and then he
then
readjusted.
he's got a new game, right?
Yeah, he started a new game, but I don't know.
But
We didn't understand that.
Right. Versus if you don't have that end game, you're just you're going in a million different directions. One really good analogy. Did you cut out there?
You're good.
Okay. One really good analogy is you're on an island, right? And your goal, you need to get to another island, right? So you start building a bridge. And you get the structure going, and maybe you're 25% of the way there. And then you see a different island on the other side of the island that you want to go towards. So you start building a bridge there. And all of a sudden you got 100 different bridges, but you've never crossed forward to another island, right? So we start so many things that we can't finish rather than being focused and essential in getting to that first island. Once you get there, then you can start building another bridge to another island. But you need to either get there or get that process long enough that you have somebody in charge of building that bridge for you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, makes plenty.
And for myself, so I just had a huge recent shift on the end goal, because I've been with multiple other things, single family and small multifamily rentals, yep. Right? And I don't know where it came one day, but I was just laying and probably at night just thinking and dreaming of the future and what do I want, and I realized the next step for me is it's either going to be apartment or self-storage, but it's going to be a one big or a couple, right, versus kind of spread out throughout. And that's just what I decided I want it for several different reasons. That's what I want for me. So what does that mean? That now means every single person that comes to me is saying, oh, I got this lead on a single-family house, blah, blah, blah. I'm no longer in the game for that.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about a little bit ago.
So instead of my mindset of trying to evaluate, okay, is that a deal I want to buy? My mindset is, all right, who can I connect you with that might want to buy that deal? Because I no longer buy those.
Right, and that's there's value there for you by helping that guy.
Yeah,
too. You're creating them bridges.
Right. Yeah, I like seeing other people being
Plus,
able
you don't
to.
want to.
But
that's
no longer that's no longer my game.
Right.
And you got to know because you can't play every game.
It goes back to who am I and who am I not. And you're just like, I don't want to play that game.
Right.
Anymore.
And I've done really well in that game too. I've done very well. I'm super happy with how that's gone. But I just know the next step for me now is it's a different game.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's hard to play both.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm looking at every single thing that comes to me, I'm not going to be able to focus to achieve what I want to achieve, which is going to be an apartment building or self-storage, right? Because I'm going to be looking at too many things. I'm going to be thinking about too many things. Right? You can only process so much in your head at once.
Yeah, I get that. I get that a lot. Getting back to more about even to be able to get to the mindset of owning businesses. Let's get back into what it takes for habits and what it takes for, I was at the barbershop about a year and a half ago, and I got this customer who comes in almost every 7 days, and it's always the same time. Mm-hmm. He's never late. He's always dressed nice. He's always got this, he brings a newspaper with and reads the, whatever. He's reading his trade, and I'm just like, it clicked one day where I'm like, if I could get into a routine like Chris, I could dominate.
Even before he said his name, I knew exactly.
Yeah, and you know exactly what I'm talking. So what do you think I did? I asked him. I'm like, Chris, what do you do all day? There's nothing wrong with asking somebody that is living the lifestyle that you want to live. What do you do all day? How do you do your routine? Like, so many people don't want to ask that question. It's like they're not a man or something.
Why do you think? Yeah, is that why you think people don't?
I think it's their own insecurities. It's got to be insecurities.
Right.
And I've had them where I'm not going to say that. But stop telling yourself that. Right. Speak up. If you see something that you want to do with your life and you see someone doing it, ask. There's nothing wrong with asking, hey, Ben, what do you think?
I could not agree more. I think that in itself is like a whole. Let's dive into that for just a second.
Sure.
Because I think that
we'll get back to Chris.
Yeah, we'll come back to Chris. Why don't we do that more? I always assumed, because I think one big part of what's helped me achieve the success that I have is I'm always so curious with other people that are doing well that I've on several occasions, like a Russ Bennett, for example, like he's really done well, right? Sure. And so I said, hey, let me take you out to breakfast. Just like tell me about.
Bet he's
what
got a
you've
rock
done.
star
Right.
routine,
Yeah,
rock star
he
routine
does.
that he does, and he's going to show up.
Yeah, like why not try to learn? If people are willing to talk with you for a little bit, of people that have done, well, the people kind of coming before you, why would we not want to absorb that? I always assumed that if I got to a place of success, that everybody's going to want to like kind of learn from that.
No, it's dumb.
And
It's
not nearly what you
right.
expect.
That's dumb this down all the way down to being a child.
Right.
If you don't have a role model or a mentor,
Right.
somebody, a dad, somebody, an uncle, your mom, anybody, if you don't have a mentor or someone to teach you things, how are you ever going to get anywhere?
Right.
You're going to have to learn it the hard way, smack your head a few times like I
Right.
did, but now it's like if I see somebody dominating something, like I got a list right now of 4 people that I don't know at all, but I'm going to get a hold of them and take them out for lunch and pick their brain.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. So I asked Chris, back to Chris, real quick. I was like, "What do you do all day?" And he busted out this, his routine, and I was like, "And you do that every day?" Well, unless I'm not working, like go on vacation, go to the cabin or whatever he's doing. And I was like, "Well, if I really want to dominate, like I know Chris is dominating, I'm gonna have to get into some routines." That was a year and a half ago, Ben.
Really?
Right?
Yeah.
And then for 3 months, I didn't do nothing. I did it one day and didn't do it, and then I started bragging about doing it, and I didn't do it. I'm not consistently doing it, and then 9 months later, and then you add to your routine, and you because it didn't start with just get up early. It wasn't workout, it wasn't journal yet. It was just get up and do something before you leave the day, and you can bounce on that. But what I'm getting at is it didn't take 2 days for me to change. It's just like I saw you speak up on New Year's resolutions. I love that video that you did for Snap. You're not going to change your life in one day. I don't like New Year's Eve, New Year's resolution stuff like that. I think it has to happen over time with habits, and you're going to not do the right thing on any certain day every once in a while. And so many times we focus on that, well, I messed it up. I'm done. What do you mean you're done? You're going to just be depressed and not keep working hard towards your goals or dreams, whatever. I don't care if it's just to get up early and go to work happier or if it's to open a business. You got to start with the small little things.
Let me drop a couple things on that.
Sure.
To piggyback off that. I think people make 2 big mistakes when it comes to setting goals. They don't set goals that they can necessarily track, and they don't set goals that they're willing to lose. They're not willing to acknowledge a loss of a goal. So instead, they purposely pretend they never set that goal. Right? It'd be like if your goal was to eat gluten-free and then day 2 you don't, right?
Right.
You lost, right? So for example, one of my 90-day things is I'm getting back into more of that early morning routine. My 90-day goal, one of them, is to wake up by 6 a.m. 80 times.
Sure.
80 times in 90 days, because I can track that.
Yeah.
If my goal was to
That's a really
wake
good
up
point.
at 6 a.m. every day for 90 days.
Yeah, because
what happens day 1 when you lose that?
Yeah.
Right. Day 24 when you don't wake up at 6 a.m. Right. So create yourself some leeway. Okay. I would say 80 out of 90 days. I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully I hit 90. Right.
Sure.
But I'm going to track that, and at the end of 90 days, if I whether I did 87 of those days or 78 of those days, that doesn't really matter.
Aren't you doing that over? Yeah, you're doing that over at the gym, right? With your members, the
Absolutely.
90-day.
Yeah, this is something I am excited about now, bringing into a full What I'm trying to do is these things that I've been learning for myself, I am trying to kind of implement into the gym now to give other people the opportunity and the guidance to do these same things, because I think these are so important. I think they're vastly more important than simply what workouts are you doing in the gym or how hard you have a trainer pushing you or something like that.
Sure.
Is dialing into these habits and these life goals, these life improvements, right? Because if you're coming to my gym and you're crushing it on your gym gains, right? But your relationship life is bad, your financial life is bad, your spiritual life is bad. I would say that's not a good balance.
Right.
I wouldn't say you're successful.
Right.
Right? And so what I'm trying to do is build a community around a full life, a full positive, successful life. What does a successful life look like to you? Right? It's not just right. If you're a billionaire but you're 150 pounds overweight, you're probably not living a great life because you still and your kids are trying to play with you and you can't keep up, and because you're right. It's a well-rounded thing, but the same thing of if you got a shredded six-pack, but you're barely making enough to pay rent that month. You have some other areas where you could improve on in life.
So it's called a 90-day intention challenge, right, Ben?
That's right.
So, and you explained why. Explain why do you think it's been? This is a loaded question, but why is it beneficial for you to do that for your members? Because I think it's so much bigger than just them being members. I look at it from a whole community perspective.
So first off, the way that I have the whole challenge structured, I lose money on it. I'm actually losing a fair amount of money doing this challenge.
So it's not about money.
It's not about money. I'm purposely losing money. Mm-hmm. I'm giving away cash prizes, yet the people, what they pay to enter the challenge, I make no money on. I was able to purchase the journals that we're doing it with, that I'm just absolutely in love with the whole process of them. Purchase them in bulk. I bought a ton of them because I know that this is the future. This is what we're doing as a gym, as a community to help change our members' lives and our community. So I'm sold out for this. I'm all in on this. So I'm not making any money on it. Because I want it. I don't want a barrier of entry, right? I would love to have changed my life with the 90-day intention challenge, but I didn't have the money because we're charging too much. I'm charging 25
Sure.
bucks. It's 25 bucks. You couldn't buy it for that, right? So this was the main motivator. It's working for me, but I've been doing the gym thing for a decade now, right? And if you're a year-round member at a gym, right? Everybody kind of there's this constant pattern, and it just kind of becomes like an internal joke, right? It's when it's December, right? The member's like, gonna get all these newbies in January, and they're gonna be done in March, right? And they're not entirely right, but there's a lot of truth to that.
Sure.
Right? And I think a lot of it is because the mindsets of people going in is the same. It universally ends up kind of being the same. They're eating like crap in December. They get too much, right? They're not active like they were in the summer. Now the winter's coming around. They're not moving. They're eating a lot of food. There's Christmas cookies around. And you just hit this peak of I'm just so much crap, and you start thinking about the new year, get a fresh start. Who do I want to be? What do I, right? And so you start getting that little, right, that little thing kind of tap on your shoulders, like you can be a better you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so you typically, right, it's just the thing we do. We create an annual goal, right? What am I going to do this year, right? And with best intentions. However, there's no habit, accountability to back that up, right? And a quick note on accountability, I think that this is a really interesting thing. When we think of accountability, right, we often say, okay, yeah, I need to get to the gym more. I need somebody else there that's going to be there to make sure I get there, right?
Sure.
I need to get up earlier. Well, I need my wife to make sure I get up, right? So you kind of put that on somebody else, right? But accountability is you. It's self-accountability.
Put it
right?
on yourself.
Yeah. But it's not just a natural. People need to learn. They need to build the muscle of being accountable, right? Through habit. Okay.
I love that you said that. That's
through
so
habit.
true. Yeah. It's the only way to do it.
Nothing works if not through habit. Okay. So this 90-day intention, it's a journal, right? But with the challenge, we're basically all completing this journal at the same time. Okay. The idea is you're going to create 3 different goals, and they're for 90 days. They're not for a year. Okay. Because a year is unrealistic. The trouble with a year is you get lofty goals and you get long time frames. So if your goal is to we'll just really simple, lose 50 pounds this year, right? Well, it's so easy to, January is just February will really get rolling on this. And then something, is going on. It's a busy month at work, and like, you just push it off, and you only push it off a few times before, what do? And this is coming back to what we said. You pretend you never set the goal because you don't want to lose, right? You're not facing that every day. Did I do what I said I was going to do, or didn't I, right? So what this journal does is you create 3 goals, okay? And they might all be fitness related. They might none of it. Right now my goals for these next 90 days are not fitness related at all. I just right now have other priorities, but I've built those bridges in fitness. Right. I don't have any fitness related goals, but tell you what, I'll be working out 4 days a week.
Yeah, it's a habit.
Yeah, it's been
a habit
there
because
for 10
it's
years.
Who you are. It's
right.
what you do.
Yeah, it's not going away.
And you earned
That's
it.
Instilled.
You earned it.
Yeah.
It's instilled.
If I'm going to create a fitness goal, it might be cranking that up. It might be adding something to that routine or a more intense workout or something like that. But I'm simply not going to just stop that.
Sure.
That habit's it's instilled. So you're creating 3 goals, and you're matching that alongside with what habits do I need to do to achieve those goals, and you're tracking those habits. So like I talked about, one of those goals for me is being up by 6 a.m. for 80 times in the next 90 days, right? So what do I have on my weekly goals? It's wake up at 6 a.m. and the goal is to do that 7 days a week. Every day, I'm either checking or Xing whether or not I accomplished that goal, right?
Sure.
I'm tracking that. So I'll know on a week that I've failed, and I can literally calculate if I'm on track to hit that 80-day goal, right? I know whether I achieved it or I failed it.
Sure.
Right.
Also know like how many days do I got left that I don't have to get up at 6.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I might just go 80 days straight and then just sleep in
10
for
days
10
off.
days. It'd be great.
Yeah. Right. That'd be a waste of a habit that's instilled.
It would
Because
be,
after 80 days, you will be getting up at 6 every day on
Correct.
accident.
Yeah. If you
Just like,
purposely took 10
just
days
doesn't.
off, you just killed yourself.
Now you better do another 90 day.
Right.
Right.
And so you do a weekly. You're filling out the journal weekly, and then you're also filling out the journal daily. So every day of those 90 days, it doesn't take long. It just took me 5 minutes. This morning, I got up at 6 a.m. Daughter's crying right now.
Yeah.
But I still found the time to do that, to get through that routine and spend the time after I fed her, got a little bit of quiet time to do my journal.
Because if you didn't do that, it would shift your day.
Yeah, it just throws your day off.
Throws your day off.
So every day I'm rewriting, and it's amazing how often you have to, especially when you first get started on a 90-day, you would think, and this really proves why the annual thing doesn't work, is you set those goals, right, the day before, and then Monday morning you wake up and you're on the piece of paper and you got to write those 3 goals down. What were those 3 goals again?
Right.
I've done that many times,
Yeah.
right? So how instilled is it if you wake up and you don't even remember what those goals are? And I guarantee you, if you do this, you're going to do that. You're probably going to do that. But after 90 days of writing it down, you're not going to do that.
No.
Right?
It'll be locked in.
So the idea is about being intentional about your life, intentional about who you are, right? Not just reactionary, right? Who you are doesn't need to be based on circumstances. Who you are shouldn't change based on who's elected into office. Who you are shouldn't change based on if there's a pandemic right now, right? Who you are, you choose who you are, right? But that doesn't just happen overnight. You can't just choose one night, write down, okay, this is who I'm going to be, and just expect that that's going to happen.
Nope, you gotta work.
You gotta work.
People don't want to put in the work, man.
Yeah.
You gotta want to put in that work. I look back at, obviously, I had significant weight loss, and I can honestly say that I lost 70 pounds without working out.
Yep.
I even came to you and be like, I don't need no gym, right?
Yep.
Because what it really comes down to, for me anyways, was, and I've implemented working out into my life because healthy mind, healthy body, healthy soul, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It all comes together. So I know that I needed it, but I had bad habits of eating.
Mm-hmm.
Like at lunchtime, leave the barbershop, go grab a couple Arby's sandwiches, McDonald's, or go down to Frida's, just eat out all the time. And then I love to eat at night. I love to eat right before bed, 10 o'clock, fall asleep at 11. if I'm lucky, if I'm not having insomnia at
Right.
that time. So
Right.
all that stuff actually, that whole lifestyle that I was living and I was absolutely miserable was all hand in hand. Overeating, worried about everything all the time, insomnia, all that stuff was all right with it. You have to say, okay, enough's enough. I want to be a better person, not for my son, not for Megan, not for anybody, not my mom and dad, brothers, sisters, anybody in my life. I want to change my life for me. And that
That's
goes back
why.
to that accountability that you're talking about is you need to be accountable to yourself. I'm at the gym in the morning for me, right? I'm in my journal for me. I'm up at 4 o'clock for me. Ultimately, me being a healthier me is going to only be good for my entire family too.
You resist eating food at 10 o'clock for you.
Right, and it don't mean that every once in a while I don't go grab a bowl of ice cream
Yep.
and know that this is dumb, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm human.
Yeah.
But total was like 78 pounds,
That's
and
awesome.
now I have another 22-pound goal to be at 250 by June.
That's awesome.
Well, 22 pounds sounds easy when you lose 70.
So what's your advice on people in the long term? Because so for myself, I've seen so many people achieve a lot in a short period of time, right? I've seen people in really great rhythms of all of a sudden they're eating really healthy, they're getting up early, they're working out, they're consistent, but it lasts a month, 2 months, right? What's your advice on making that sustainable part of your life?
It all really comes back down to habits and what we tell ourselves, Ben. So as you said that, let's just say, for example, I lost 78 pounds and I've kept it off for over a year or like 9 months. I mean, I lost it quick when I changed. I mean, I went from eating bad like that to, hamburger, eggs, protein, just no breads, low carbs. And then it became the first like 7-8 days. That's the problem is people don't know how to get past the suck. Like this sucks. Like they don't want to embrace the negative, the dark side of a change that you're trying to make. They want to focus on the negative and then I just can't do it. No, I had to find what I lived like that for a lot of years. So like I'm not preaching anything that I haven't been through. I understand the suck and I understand how it can take over your life and you can go into a 7-day depression over it. I understand all those things. But if you talk about what can we tell our viewers how to make that change, it starts with habits and then the second thing is the automatic second thing is what are you telling yourself? Because if you get to day 5 or 6 when you're trying to make changes or create a new habit, oh, this really sucks. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I made it 5 days. Boom. No, man, how about this? How about we think like this? So you change your thinking to, you made it 5 days. If I can get to next week, I bet I won't even care about this no more. I bet this will just be in my life now. And the truth of the matter is I don't know what the scientific thing is, but like by like day 7 or 8, anything that I wanted to change in my life, if I've done it for 7-8 days, it gets easier. Right? And then all of a sudden, if you can get a month in on whatever it is you're trying to do with your life, change, whether it's eating or working out or saving money or finding time for your family more, whatever the goal that you have, if you can get past a month, I love the 90 days because that 90 days, like I said about your thing, 80 out of 90 days, if I get to 90 days on something, it's just a new me, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a long.
So you got to embrace the suck and not tell yourself all this sucks. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Flip it. If I can get one more weekend, how about one more day? Sometimes it only takes one more day. One more day. If I can get one more day in, it won't suck no more. And then what happens, Ben? It's not even a suck no more. You're like, man, I'm so grateful that I quit smoking. I'm so happy that I'm healthier now and I'm better to my family. Look at the life. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful.
And let's say smoking example. That's a really good one because that is obviously probably the hardest one for the average person. You probably know if you were to quit smoking that you're going to live a better life. Right.
Oh, you have to know that.
That's
for anything.
Right. You know that, but we so often want immediate gratification. Right? It's just a natural thing. And to change who we are becomes somebody that loves delayed gratification because everything's better when it's delayed gratification. I got 2 things I want to hit on with that. An interesting story on that and my own. The Marshmallow Test. This is something really interesting. In the 70s, they did this study they just brought a bunch of kids into the room, or into individual rooms, and they said, all right, here's a marshmallow on the table, okay? We're going to leave, and in 10 minutes, we'll come back. If you haven't eaten that marshmallow, you're going to get 3 marshmallows, right? And so they just simply did a study. A lot of the kids just ate the marshmallow. They couldn't wait 10 minutes, even though they knew there were 3 more marshmallows if they waited. They did that in the 70s, right? So they've had decades since. They followed those same kids. The kids that delayed, the kids that waited. So I want 3 more marshmallows. Were far more successful, happy in life.
True.
Right? It's delayed gratification. And I found I've become a person, and I chose to be this person, that enjoys that. I want that. I love grilling, right? And I had the same grill that my parents got me since when we got married, and I probably grill 100, 200 times a year. I grill all the time. And I really wanted a new pellet grill. And I remember there was a couple summers ago, we sold a flip house. We made like 20 grand. And I was going to be like, perfect reward. I'm going to get a grill. And I could have, and that wouldn't have been bad. Sure. But I was so ingrained in delayed gratification that I was like, I think I could stretch this grill out another year.
Sure.
A year from now, I'm going to get a new grill. I had the money to go get one. And I'm not saying that would have been bad to don't withhold reward from yourself. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, I felt happier. The idea of not spending the money on one now and getting one a year from now actually made it better for me. I don't want that reward now. Let me work. Let me do some more to earn that reward.
I know exactly what you're talking about. In fact, as you were telling the story about the marshmallows, I told myself to make a conscious effort to be honest about what would I do. And I know I would have ate that marshmallow, the old me, but I had to change the thinking of delay. I love delay. I'm in it for the long haul, right? I love the delayed stuff, and I think it's important that. And the funny thing is like I think Q would have waited. My son would have waited for the 3 more because in his mind he's like, if you're going to give me 3 more, I can do some push-ups or do something on the side for 10 minutes or something. He can do something in that room that'll not make him eat that. But I had to teach him that. Where's the mentors at? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, so they say that they follow those people.
I love that you're saying that in reference to your son, because I've been thinking about this a lot and just being a father. Because now that my son's finally at an age where he understands the things that I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. It's a new chapter in fatherhood of like, how can I now start like instilling these things? And delayed gratification is like the number one. If you can help your children to become that person from an early onset, you vastly increase the chances that they're just going to have a much better life. That one thing.
Sure.
And that's the hardest thing for a kid, right? I mean, kids are the exact opposite of delayed gratification. They want immediate gratification. That's how we are all just naturally born, right?
Yeah, and I think he would have been in the room freaking out like, I should just eat it. He still would have thinking.
Yeah.
But he would have held off because hopefully with the teachings and
we should do that test. We should do that test with our kids.
Yeah, should we? Let's do it.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
We'll tape it.
I think that's great stuff, man. The one thing I want to circle back to something, but before I do that, I want to talk about a healthy community. In order for Willmar to become healthier, mind, body, soul, right? There needs to be people that can understand and have empathy for the bad, and there needs to be people that are successful speaking up. One of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start this podcast, Ben, is I want to see this community shine. I want people to come to Willmar and they're just like, wow, look at this town. Like some other towns that
a place where you can feel the energy.
Oh yeah, you just like, and I've been to towns like that, Ben. Mm-hmm. I've been to towns like that where it's like, man, these guys are vibing. Like, they're working hard together, and there's only one way. And if anything can come from this on my end from this podcast, it's to tell people to get involved. Mm-hmm. Everybody are so impressed with everybody, right? I used to always focus on, look at that guy's got it all figured out. He's got money. He's got a nice truck. He's got this. He's got that. That I needed all those things, and I got them all and lost them all. and got them back.
Right.
But the thinking before was more focused on, wow, look at everybody else. I want to be like that, but I'm not going to do the habits or change my mindset to make it happen. But somehow I'm going to be like that. And the problem is people aren't getting involved. I would love to see people throughout Willmar to get involved in the park and recs, to get involved, get on some of these committees, get on. I got political aspirations. I'm going to get involved. I know that you look at what I'm getting at is I love what you're doing at Snap. I know that you're not making no money off that, but I know that good, healthy community members in our community are going to live a better life, which then makes this community better, right? And it all trickles down to where the smallest little thing that you're doing at your gym is huge. Because now we got, say, 20, 30 people make it through there, through the whole 90 days. And I think that's a realistic number. If it's more, great. But let's say 20, 30 people. That means 20, 30 people have a better grip on mind, body, soul, not just one or the other. And they're going to go out into their communities and be better parents, better moms, better dads, better employees, better business owners, whatever that might be. And all that can do is help this community.
All right, and they can instill those things that they've learned.
Yes, it'll all of a sudden will just come out. This town will start have that energy that we want. And I think that there's a lot of guys like us that are in this town that would love to see that. So thank you. Yeah. I want to thank you for doing that because I think it's huge and it's selfless.
I appreciate that, man. You know, I think trying to figure out what we're meant to be doing, and that for me, when that idea started coming to fruition, it just felt right. It felt like I have a mission, and this mission is noble. This mission is doing something. And for the first time in a long time, it just felt very authentic, more authentic than ever. So I think that's going to look different for a lot of different people. But if there's a way that you can get involved, make an impact, it's going to look different for everybody.
Sure.
That was my way, So question for somebody listening: what's your way?
Sure. And if other people can come up with ways, whether it's something like what you're doing or some of the things that the barbershop or whatever we're doing to try to help this community go in the right direction.
Right. And really now more than ever, just from everything that's happening on a national, world level, there's just so much divisiveness, right? And that destroys communities, destroys countries. So what can we do to put something out there that's why I love that you're doing this, especially right now, because there's just less than ever of this happening. Things like this.
There's a lot of people scared, man. Yeah. I think there's a lot of fear in the world. There's a lot of people, but they're also letting that get into their mind,
right?
And that's their mindset, right? I think what we need to tell everybody, and the truth is it's going to be okay.
It is. All
right. There's people in the past that had way bigger, other challenges. These are different, but there's challenges, and we got past it.
Let's put this into perspective.
Sure.
Because I think if you're sitting at home, whether you're watching the news, scrolling through Facebook, the world feels very bleak, right? Reasonably so.
What do you
tell? If you were born in, I'm trying to think, like the 30s or the 20s or whatever that'd be, right? It's there's many people that lived through World War I.
Right.
The first war that encompassed dozen countries or something like that, right? Chaos across the world. A world war has never happened.
Everybody's sad.
Yeah. You went through World War I. You went through the Spanish flu. The Spanish flu, I think, killed I can't remember the number. It was like 10, 30. No, it was like
I think it was 30 million. I think it was 30 million or something like that.
Yeah,
crazy.
But it was a huge percentage of the entire world.
Sure.
Right? Like you had like a 1 in 3 chance of dying.
Sure.
Just existing. That's scary. Then World War II. Then World War II comes, and it's even worse than World War I. Right? You have, the Axis trying to take over the world, and just terrible things happening. And that trickles right into the Cold War, right? Sure. Now Russia's trying to take over. USSR, right?
Yeah.
Imagine living in that period of time, right? You had to have felt like this is not going to get better, right? You had to have felt that the direction that things are going are worse and worse and even worse, and it's never ending, right? You think people are divided now? Imagine being around during that period of time. We look back and we kind of, we see it in rosier glasses now that we're not in it, but there was a heck of a lot of political division throughout all of that stuff. It was a very political thing. We don't see it like that now.
Right.
But so putting that into perspective, it will get better.
Right.
Things got better after that.
I bet you if we interviewed somebody in their 90s that are 90-something,
right,
they would be like, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
We've seen worse than this, you know. And I want to hone back to life, okay? So what do we, you know, let's say we had a viewer that asked a question like, what do I do when life happens, when bad happens,
Right.
when the bad hits? You know, like, what do you tell yourself? I think as quick as fast. Okay, something bad's going to happen in our entrepreneur lives. Yeah. Something ain't going to go right. Heaven forbid, something bad happens with your family. Somebody dies. Let's say that, for example. You know what my first thought was? You're sad, right? And then my next thought is, what can I do to make sure that this guy has some kind of legacy left? And number 3, it would be, I have to be the leader of my family right now because they need me. You know, like, well, trick like that. What's the opposite?
That's the most selfish response I could imagine.
What's the opposite of that, Ben? What are we gonna do?
Right.
Now what? Bad. Right. And then all of a sudden you can slip into a 5-year depression.
Right.
Instantly.
Yep.
Over a death, which is sad, and I get it. But let's go to I lost my job, or just the small little things that piss you off, right? What are we telling ourselves? I think it's really important to our viewers to understand, start new habits, but really, what are you affirmating yourself with? Because I said it when I just got here, locked my keys, and I knew I was running behind a little bit, this and that, and I want to get to the truck, and I get to the truck and it's locked, and the keys are in the building. What I tell myself right there, it can change my mood. I mean, why am I always forgetting stuff? Negative, and then I think, it's nice outside today.
Slow down.
Wow, yeah, I slowed it down. It's nice outside today. There was a reason why I had to walk back in the room and go out to the truck, and the truck was locked. It's not that big a deal. Right. Calm down. Stop. I think people are destroying themselves and making themselves depressed and making themselves think it's never going to be okay by what they're telling themselves.
Absolutely.
Got to change definitely got to change their, the way that they talk to themselves. All right, Ben, we talked about habits, mindset, journaling, health, you know, how to create the habits, how to change, get your mind, how to give yourself the self-affirmations. And one thing I want to get into is about 9 months ago, you and I were set with some big challenges from the governor and the COVID stuff, and basically shut down your business for the next 60 days and open it back up just to shut it back down again. I was grateful I got to stay open, but I think it's important to tell our stories about how we dealt with COVID, because that's a bad, right? I mean, that sucked. That ended some people's careers, some people's businesses. I was traveling a couple weeks ago, and I was at a restaurant, and the guy told me, first I was at a masseuse thing first, and the lady said 61 people used to work here, and now there's 17, and they're not hiring the rest back. I went to a restaurant that usually had about 60, 70 people, and they only had 12 people on staff. Business is ready to shut down. We made it through. How? Because I think the stories behind that, the mindset, the journaling, I'm going to double down over here because I can't do this, all that, I think is huge for our audience to see, because it's going to give them a chance to see what we did when bad happened, like we just talked about a little while ago. I remember our meeting, we had a meeting, and you and I were like, oh, what are we going to do about this if we get, at that time it was a potential shutdown was coming, right? Was that what it was? It wasn't shut down. It was in 2 weeks,
Yeah, I think we had a few days or something like that. And to also walk back into that time frame, we didn't know what COVID looked like.
Sure.
We didn't know what the future held in front of us. We didn't know if this was going to be the Spanish flu, right? And so there was a lot of really scary unknown for everybody.
Right, and before we could take any action or anything, there was a lot of thinking.
Yeah,
a lot of thinking.
Let me tell you my story on it. The day that COVID became, I would say, real, right? As far as like this isn't something that's just happening in China. This is going to be something that's going to affect us here at home.
Sure.
Was the same day that we had our baby girl. All right. And it made me really, I had to process that. It took a couple weeks because I was mad. I was mad that like this was supposed to be my time with her, all the attention with her, and now I have to go into emergency mode with our businesses, figure out how we're situated, because this could literally destroy us, right? Because we were not situated well as we could be during that situation. And so a thing that I think developed well is ownership, right? There's the Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership, right? There's a book on that. It's fantastic. I tried to take extreme ownership in my life, my business, everything that's happening. So when this happened, although it's something that's completely outside of our control, I'm responsible for everything that happens, right? It's not China's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's not the governor's fault. I'm responsible, right, for everything that happens in this business, how that affects my family and my employees. It's my responsibility, no matter what. I'm responsible for where I currently am, all my decisions leading up to what businesses I have going, the businesses that aren't doing well, where I have debt, how much cash I have in hand. I'm responsible for all of that stuff. The deals we're already in the middle of at the moment. And so, rather than sitting back and saying, well, we'll see how that all plays out because I couldn't control COVID. I didn't know that was going to happen. It's an easy excuse for everything to fall apart. Mm-hmm. I remember, and I'll always remember this, I spent a week just thinking in my office. We shut the gym down. The gym was shut down. The lights were off. We shut To Your Health down. The salon was shut down. All three of our businesses, right,
Boom.
our main income, done.
Lights
right?
out, yeah.
We're now in a situation where we're going negative, like, I can't remember, it was like $15,000 a month. So a lot of people, they might have gotten laid off now they're in employment, which, it could, so they go from, say, making $3,000 down to $2,000. We're at negative $15,000 a month.
Yep.
And I remember I was grabbing coffee. I had my brother on the phone. I was grabbing coffee on the way into work, where I was just going to sit there for 8 hours in my office with all the lights off except my office. And I remember my brother on the phone, he heard me ordering coffee. He's like, is that really what you want to be doing right now? You should be tightening the belt, And I remember my response to him was like, I got a big problem, and a $3 coffee ain't gonna make or break that, man. I got a bigger problem than that, and I can't be, And so my mindset in that was, I can't be thinking small. I'm not gonna just go out and find a cash job and just try to do something.
Right.
I need big action. I need big decisions. I have to make really big, tough decisions now. Right. This is the situation I'm in. I need to resituate to survive this. I need, right, and that's going to come with risk, and so we had to make a lot of tough decisions. We closed the business that we'd been operating for 2 years, closed it, right? That in itself, emotionally, is a really hard thing to do, because that's like just having to admit yourself that because had it been performing well, had that business been performing well, I wouldn't have had to close it.
Sure.
Right? But because I didn't operate it well over the last 2 years, now it's not in a position strong enough to withstand this everything that's coming.
Sure.
Right? So I had to make that decision to close it. I had to fire an employee, basically, or lay off, whatever you want to call it. Her job with me was done now. That's a really tough thing. That hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Delivering that news was like painful. But essentially in that situation, I had to look at what's the positive that's going to come out of this, right? Because there's always in every bad thing, it creates an opportunity. And in my scenario, the only that I could fathom positive way was to double down and buy the building that I'm in.
Yes.
Right? So the only way to essentially be conservative was to spend a lot of money.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
And it was not the typical thing that you would do. It's not it's not what the advice would have been, was to do that. Right? But I knew it was the right thing to do, and I'm thankful that I did. Everything has worked out really well since then. But sometimes you got to sit back, you got to plan, you got to think multiple steps ahead, and you got to take risks.
Yeah, and before we get into the action that you put to work to make all that stuff happen, I think talking about the thinking is the most important thing that made both of us successful through COVID. We've both been extremely successful through COVID. And my thinking out the gates was twofold. My immediate thoughts were, what is going to happen to my staff? Because I got a staff that's been with me through ups, downs. I get emotional just thinking about it, because I know that they need to be taken care of first. So check. Get home, and people, the way I handled COVID compared to maybe my significant other, Megan, or the kids, or people that are in my inner circle. I remember like yesterday sitting my whole entire family down when things were getting rocky and fear was trying to be instilled in people. And I looked at Megan and I said, we're going to have a family meeting. And we had a family meeting. And I said, whatever happens here, Dad will make sure that everybody's okay, but this is not going to change our mindset. We are going to double down on anything that we can control. And at that time, I wanted to sell my house, and I wanted a couple other things that I wanted to do, and end up working with you. And that's the action point. But the thoughts, let's keep focusing on thoughts. The thoughts were, COVID motivated me to be like, well, okay, I can't do this, but I can control this. And the only way that I could have ever been there, Ben, is those habits and the mindset that I started a year and a half ago. So just like you said, if you would have had the shake shop at the level where it could have been, it would have sustained COVID. Our minds were at a good spot to where we knew, okay, let's think this out. We've been working on our habits, our mindsets long enough. We know that we can turn this into a positive. But if we don't have that mindset, we fall right into the victim stance, the non-accountability, the poor me. What am I going to do? Why does bad always happen? I just came off a 4-year comeback of $500,000 businesses that went. Right. The comeback was close. January hit. People are.
Yeah, it would have been so easy. Right? To let things fall apart.
Yes.
And be like, hey, you know what? I was on that right path.
Yes.
And then COVID happened. I couldn't do anything.
I could have slipped into the deepest, darkest depression I've ever been in my life, because my mind would have been like, I just can't win. I just can't win.
You know what the weird thing, and it feels like a phenomenon would happen with ourselves and a lot of people that are close to us, right?
Yeah.
That it was a challenge that we got the opportunity to rise to.
Challenge accepted. Right. Yeah, that's how I felt.
Right.
I get the chills.
Having something to go to war. Man, I remember a lot of our conversations during, the summer when we were shut down and everything, when you flip on Facebook, it's this and that. What are the governor's things, this? And everybody's freaking out and everything is negative. And me and you hardly ever spoke or thought about any of those things.
No negatives.
Right? We were so focused, so in tune to what we're going to accomplish. As soon as we can accomplish that, how does this, right? What's in our control that we can do, right? And it was a huge shift for me. It was because I would constantly have people coming up with the temptation of complaining. They're like, oh yeah, the governor, hear what they're doing. It's not fair that they're doing that to you. It's not fair. They shouldn't do that to gyms. They shouldn't. This is it, right? Even though I would want to agree with them, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it because what's that conversation going to lead to? It's going to lead to complaining.
Right, and it's going to lead to too much in your head, too many negatives, and then you can't keep your mindset going on what you need to be focused on.
Exactly.
Which is buying a building, double, triple, quadrupling down on what you already had. And I, going back to the positive light that we were trying to have amongst all the negativity. I'm a barber. You want a gym. All we hear is people's how they feel and what's going on, and we got to dig deep to be able to have that empathy with them and to understand that. But that's not going to change my mindset on what I'm trying to do. So what I try to do is every time they would come at me with that, I would try to shift their thinking. I would try to be like, well, what can you control? Those kind of things. But bigger than that, Ben, I felt when it all happened and people we're all out. People are handing out lunches to people that can't afford to get meals, and buses are out, and we're meeting at the Y. Like, I was sad for our community. Like, I went home at night and felt somebody's got to be a light. Someone's got to be positive, man. Someone's got to be, because the positive can shine through when it's dark, right? And it's bad, and you get one little light, that thing's beacon. It's a beacon. It's flying right through. Someone had to be that, and I think we did that. I think we did, and I think we're going to continue to do that, because what other direction do we want our community to go in?
Right.
If the community, business owners, and leaders in our community are negative, how are we ever going to get into that majestic feeling of just that vibe of a community where we're all working together? But that's another point. But I just think it was really important. It was a selfless thing that we both did to focus on trying to bring in people without changing our mindsets when they were saying the bad stuff all the time. Because it's hard. It's hard, Ben. It's hard to sit three people in a row talking about our president or talking about this or this is wrong and that is wrong. And in order to cut right through and keep on moving forward, we got to take that information in, have empathy, care, and get rid of it. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They're focusing on the wrong stuff. Get back to your habits. Get back to your mindset.
Yeah, it's correct. You got to be able to address it. Right, we should all obviously be informed of what's going on. It would be bad advice to tell people to ignore it. Right? But where is a majority of your energy and focus going? It needs to be on your circle of influence. What can you control?
Sure, don't make it.
So let's say, I feel like if I'm listening to this, I'm like, oh, Pep and Ben, they got multiple businesses. They have more they can be in control of, right? And, if you're somebody sitting at home working a 9-to-5 job and you got laid off during this and you have less that you are capable of being in control of, like, what then, right? And I can't speak to every answer, but for myself, where I've found a lot of that stability and control, it's in real estate, right? So I would love to. I like helping people on, okay, what can you control? Can you house hack something? Like my Zach, employee of mine, he's buying, as we're getting rid of our rental, he's buying a triplex, right? So now he goes from a situation where he is paying $500 a month rent, right, to now he's living for free because he's paying rent to himself and he's actually positive. I think it's like $600 a month or something like that. Right?
Sure.
Right. So he's able to take control of his situation, take advantage of the really low interest rates, locked it in for 30 years, 2 point something, which is crazy, right? And now be in a scenario where he has a flip in his income of $1,000 a month. It's $12,000 a year. Sure. As he's building net worth, as that triplex is getting paid down, right? And he's learning. He's learning a new skill. He's learning to move direction that he can focus on building wealth through real estate, right? Something that he's in control of. Right, so I guess the impact that we can make, and for me, it's educating on how to do things like that.
Right, and going back to really Zach, Zach found something that could help him move forward. I think that's what it's about. Is so many people are focused on, I'm set back, I'm stuck, this happened, all these bads. Well, what can you control? I mean, I remember when there was just absolutely nothing that I could do besides, well, I can fix my house up and sell it, right?
Right. Yep.
And
Yep.
we fixed the house up and sold it,
Right.
right? And I just think people need to dig deep and instead of being a victim of their circumstances, what can you control? What can I do? Are the things you should ask yourself, and then start building the habits and the mindset to start putting it into action, which you have with the gym, with the real estate stuff. And it started with the thinking, and then the mindset, and what are you telling yourselves? You know, I know I'm hammering this in because people don't realize it's as small as the littlest thing of what you're saying to yourself is stopping you from moving forward in life and having a better life.
I think a question everybody should ask themselves is, that little thing you're saying to yourself, is your mindset, the way that you perceive the world, are you thinking through a lens of scarcity or abundance, right? Because it's two very different ways, and it's one or the other. You know, it's essentially the glass half full, half empty, but a little bit deeper, right? A mindset of scarcity is, what's the worst that could happen, right? What's the downside? What's the negative? What's the, right, that there's only so much I could be capable of, sort of thing like that, right? Mm-hmm. And transform you to a mindset of abundance, right? It's the difference between playing not to lose or playing to win.
Right.
If you play not to lose, you're probably going to lose.
Yep.
Right? You're not going to win.
Right.
So shifting that mindset of playing to win, right? What do you want? Who do you want to be? Now take a step towards that. It's as simple as that.
It's so oddly so easy, but so hard for so many people to change habits and to create that winning mindset.
Right. And I hope some of the things that we shared about our own lack of being able to do exactly what we're saying shed some truth on that, because it's not once you get it, you get it. You're going to fall, you're going to have setbacks, you're going to have periods where you're running fast. Like I just had a kind of a crappy period, but that's okay. I almost see it like it's going to sound like another cliche thing again, but life is like, it's a marathon, right? Mm-hmm. It's a really, really long marathon. It's more than 26 miles. And the trick to living your best life is just to not stop. You might sprint at some points. You're probably jogging at most points, and every now and then you're walking, but don't stop. Right? I think most people fall into sprint and walk, or sprint and stop. Right? You gotta, as things shift, right? Like, so we accomplished a heck of a lot in 9 months, right? With our build outs, with that, and it was 100 miles an hour, and it felt good, but I can't keep that pace. Right? And I see a lot of people accomplish a lot, and then when that ends, or when they burn out on that, or whatever that is, they just stop. Boom. They fall into a hole, right? And this is it happens with just fitness specifically, and just life. Recognize where you're at.
Let's talk on that quick, because I just had a thought where I sprinted.
Yep.
With business, I try to do a lot.
Yep.
And I ended up, and when the crash happened, mm-hmm. I didn't know what I was going to do at first. But what I could control was, who am I around? Who's around me? Because when I crashed, Ben was on his way up. Like, you were making some moves. Mm-hmm. I grabbed a hold of you like it was a life raft, bro. Like, I was like, I'm going to ride his wave, because I know his positivity will keep me positive, will keep me from not wanting to give up. So we got to be careful of who we're around. So many people are around miserable people. Misery loves company. We like to be around, or you're around misery and you're the leader of it. Everybody loves you, right? You know, you got to take care of everybody.
And there's no lack of people that want to indulge in misery.
No, and you're miserable. You're worse off because you're taking on everybody else's problems, right? I knew 6 months into my depressive state of mind of what am I going to do now? How am I ever going to make my comeback? I need some real friends. I need winners in my life. And I remember having the meetings at Perkins with you, and I was like, yeah, man, I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, 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 blah. Then you were like, yeah, well, I'm doing this. And I'm like, well, I'm going to try to make it through one more day. So tomorrow I can do that too. And then sooner or later we started finding each other. And, you know, I think the build on Snap was to be connected there and to be involved in there was a really big deal to me. And every time I drive by, I'm proud of what happened there, because even if I didn't know you, but I knew the story, I'd be like, that was awesome. Because you could have gave up right there. Shut the doors now, sell all the equipment, game over. But you knew you had a bigger purpose for this community. I think it's bigger than just the gym. It's about you want to leave your mark just like I do on this community. I think anybody should. I think if you're in a community, you know, let's say Willmar's 20,000 people, and you go through 80, 90 years of your life and you pass away, I hope you left a mark on your community. That you cared, that you got involved, that you were less impressed and more involved in the community. Because if you get involved, we'll create that vibe that we really, really want. And I know that's what you want with this community. So do I. And
I love how you said that. That's
some other people that we're affiliated with, they want that too. Well, that all starts with, it doesn't mean that you're not going to have a down again. And when you have a down, I hope you would come to me and be like, hey, Pep, this ain't working right. And we've done that. Mm-hmm. I encourage people to find some winning friends in their life.
Right.
And I seen Zach do it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Zach he's like, yeah, I'm on this board. I'm on this ship. And that's not a bad thing. I've had to jump on some 100%. Ships. I had to jump on some ships. It's almost people need to get past their egos and the humility of, well, I'm not. I can't.
Stop trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, and I can't be like them. I'll do it. Yeah. I'll figure it out on my own.
Right.
I ain't figured nothing out on my own.
Yeah.
Nothing. In fact, anything I've done on my own didn't work. Now it's like, if I have a big decision to make, I'm having like 7 one-on-ones with people that have been there, or people that are going to tell me what I need to hear. Even if it's the perfect 100% sure idea, critique it.
Absolutely.
Focus on, well, what could go wrong? Are you sure there's not a bad there?
Yep.
And make that in every little decision of your life, not just these big ones, these business deals that we're making. Make them on what you're eating.
Right.
You know, or are you playing a game? You know, Dad, can we play poker? Or Dad, can we play a game of basketball? And you're always telling them, no, I'm busy, blah, blah, blah. Take that time and make that memory. Mm-hmm. Take that moment. The smallest little things that we, it's like we want all of this, but we don't want to put in the work. We don't want to change the bad habits. Well, I know moving forward, if you want to have a good life and you want to be significant, if you want to do something significant, you need a good team, and you need to care enough about yourself to change your mindset and get the good habits going.
Yeah, it's even in small ways. You know, I leading up right at the end of December, I got invited by Keith and Chris to go tubing, right? And I realized I could have made it work. Me and Titus could have come out there and make that happen. I found that it's be introspective, work on yourself, find your flaws, right? Where are you not living up to your best potential? And I was like, man, as a dad, right, I was like, just to drive there, I could spend maybe an hour and a half or 2, and then we got to drive back, and then we got to get you here, and I was like, I'll just stay home, right? It's not the right, no. And I actually was like really like down about my decision after I saw a picture of my tubing, right, to not go, right? And rather than that simply just being a negative thing that just pulls my energy down, I realized like that needs to be the indicator, that little thing, I need to remember that forever, of how I'm going to be a father going forward, right, or a husband, right? Like I need to be intentional about creating memories.
I had to do the opposite on that deal. I was supposed to go on that tubing trip too.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize when I committed and said that I would go that I was already booked at the barbershop.
Yeah, that's funny.
So I was like, I had to do the opposite. of like, you got to do that. I wanted it to be like, could I call everybody and still go tubing? Because I think this would be really a lot of fun for me and my family. And then I was like, I got to do the responsible thing and go to work.
Yeah,
That's funny.
That's So I think the theme that we can all, would you agree to wrap this up, is work on yourself.
Yes.
I think a lot of people spend more time planning their vacations than they plan themselves. They plan their life, right? Take time often, not just once a year, not just in December 31st, right before January 1st. It needs to be an ongoing part of your life. Evaluate where you good, where you not good. Be honest with yourself.
And be okay with being by yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Get by yourself, with no distractions, and be like, all right, man, I'm done lying to myself.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I'm going to be accountable. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it isn't going to be for her or him or this guy, or I don't care what these people think or that. I care about what Steve Pepin thinks. I love and respect myself enough to hold myself accountable and to do my habits and my journaling and my goals and all those little things because I want it for myself. Because people will let you down. People will break your heart and let you down. But you won't let yourself down. You won't let yourself down if you get a grip on yourself. But in order to get a grip on yourself, you have to be honest with yourself. I love what you talked about accountability. Hold yourself accountable. Because if you're lying to yourself and then you're out there saying this and that, it's going to come out, man. Yeah. People don't respect that.
Yeah, I agree. Sovereignty in all your relationships, right? If you're having issues with your wife, like what rather than focus on what she's doing wrong, what are you doing wrong? That's a hard, real conversation to have. Because when you're looking at situations from the outside, right? Your boy comes to you and he's mad about what his wife's doing, things like that. The truth is he's doing some things too that are part of that problem. Yeah, we don't want to say that, but you should.
I think in human nature is we want to be reactionary right away. Yeah. My first thought when I'm fighting, or not fighting, but when Megan is upset about something, like, what can I do to help? It's easy as that. Even if you're not happy with it, somebody's aggravated. Right. What can you do a little different? Because that's self-evaluation.
Right. As I'm saying this, I know that I suck at that a lot. Yeah. Right.
So do I.
And that's me being honest on that and being able to see that. Right. So if you suck at that, that's okay. Get better.
I found
the story doesn't end with I suck at that.
I found it was a few months back, and a certain person was having a lot of struggles, and I felt it start to affect my mood. And that can happen. People have influence on you if you allow it. Right. And I said, what's the opposite of not letting this? Okay, what can I do to help? Ended everything. Yeah. Super positive. It could have turned into a 3-day frustration. We don't have time for that, Ben. But that was habit, mindset change. All the little things led up to being able to make that, to recognize that if I say this ain't going to go good for me. If I say this is the more respectful thing that, hey, somebody's overwhelmed and they need a little help. But people, just be honest with yourself, love and respect yourself enough to hold yourself accountable, and your life will change. It just does. It happened for me. And I'm grateful for along the way between those changes a year and a half ago that I had to make for myself only. I'm grateful for the people that have plugged into my life and the people that I've inspired and the people that I love, because I wouldn't be who I am today without none of them. Because there was dark times. And when there's dark times, you need to lean on somebody. So I'm glad to have you today, Ben. Look forward to seeing all the other adventures and all the stuff that we're going to do. And I really, truly believe that we found our niche in this community and we can make an impact. And so can everybody else if they get less impressed with people and more involved in their lives and everybody else's. So, absolutely. Thanks a lot, bud.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
The PepTalk Podcast.